virtualisation, and particularly where we now have NVIDIA in the room, how they see the changes with their technology helping to improve virtualisation for all sorts of businesses. We've got myself, Richard Tricklebank, as the business manager for Ingram Micro. I look after strategy and go-to-market for NVIDIA. We've got Sarah, and we've got Rob here from NVIDIA.
So I'm Sarah Mannion from NVIDIA. I look after our technology channel enablement, so helping skill up our partners on our technologies and our solutions. But before that, I was a NVIDIA Grid VDI specialist, so this is a subject close to my heart.
I'm sure we'll be going into that a lot in this conversation.
And I'm Rob Dixon, I'm the Distribution and Channel Manager in EMEA.
Thank you both. So I suppose the first question to both of you is, what does NVIDIA think about virtualisation?
Okay.
Lots,
yeah. So virtualisation is something that's quite new for NVIDIA. Those of you who know NVIDIA as a brand and a company, you know us as being the graphics cards inside servers, desktops, gaming PCs. But the change for us going to virtualisation really started about 5 years ago. We could see that because as a company graphics is the backbone of everything we've done, that operating systems such as Windows were getting more and more graphical. And historically, servers didn't tend to come with a graphics card, or certainly not a meaty one that could run an operating system, not like Windows 10. So we looked at the opportunity there in the market and a need to bring good, rich graphics into the data center so that we could support this ever-rich, ever more graphical operating system that we could see coming.
Would it be fair to say then that you've got not only new users that potentially want to be leveraging virtualization, but also new requirements of those users?
Yeah. Around this time, we could see that VDI, virtual desktops, this was a booming, growing infrastructure, mainly being driven around needs of users. Lots of companies have heard of things like consumerization of IT. Many of us have the option to work remotely or want to work in different places. And this change in how we were working was really driving this requirement for VDI, a way of centralising IT so that regardless of where you were, you can access your workload. And this had been going on for many, many years, but what hadn't been realised was, as I mentioned, this growing graphical requirement that there wasn't a solution to power that.
Yeah, I know that there's been a couple of examples. You mentioned being able to access data and the workload in particular of the people accessing that data. There's been some really strong examples of what you've enabled with end users.
I think that's quite a key point, is the fact that people, from a virtualization point of view, they think they can't have that environment with the workload they are taking on board, especially workstations in particular. That architects, from that perspective, who might want to be on site. I still actually think now they don't know that the technology is there to make this available. So that's why, from a channel perspective, we want to educate people that the technology is there, and they should have the NVIDIA GPUs from the hardware and our Grid, obviously software products, to help solve those problems. But it's about getting that message out there to make sure people are aware that we can solve these issues.
Yeah, it's solving issues, but also the new things that people can actually achieve with this technology. So as you mentioned, Rob, particularly those sort of heavy-duty sort of CAD users, before would you even think of really using virtualization on your machines?
Yeah, I think there was always this view of, if you're an engineer, a CAD designer...
That's my GPU, I want that locally.
But the thought of you have to have a beefy workstation under your desk, you can't work remotely, you can't work from home, and nowadays we do have the technology. It's the same technologies that they're using in their workstation, we're just putting it in the data center. And I think there is this concern that either a solution doesn't exist or doesn't work. But this is absolutely what we've been working towards.
Yeah, I think there's some recognition that we need to convince those end users, but
Yeah.
I think if we get there, they'll be loving what they actually receive from this technology.
And that's the thing, we can help with proof of concepts, so people can see, how that can work and stuff, and work the resellers on that. So.
Do you have any particular examples that you're able to give? I know it can be difficult to give examples.
No. One example that I'm very fond of telling, because I think it really explains the scenario, was a customer that we worked with at NVIDIA in the very early days of our grid product, our virtualization product. They were an architectural firm, they were based in London, and day to day everyone would come into the office 9 to 5 doing all of their architectural designs on their workstations. They won a new project and had to work on the other side of the country for this project, but they didn't have an office on that site, so they went through a long process of, right, well, we've got to build a porter cabin, we've got to have internet lines put in, all of this infrastructure, so that they could bring all of their workstations and begin working, which was going to take several months to do. They decided to use NVIDIA Grid, and that was a platform that meant that instead of having all of these physical workstations that they were taking on site, these workstations were in the data center. They went on site with their laptops, with a 3G dongle that they could connect back to the data center. They got hold of their desktops on their laptops, and they could just start working.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and without the need for any of this infrastructure, they were able to do their CAD designs, their CAD drawings from wherever they were.
And then from a business perspective, I'd love to know the cost saving and being able to actually just go in straight away work.
It's saying we got the time scale of 6 months to set up an on-site office with the infrastructure needed for a workstation environment.
Sorry to bring you down to that level.
Yeah, no, but it's true.
The important stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Saving the customer time, and especially in that environment, time really is money. Every day they're there and they're not being able to produce their work. But obviously the cost saving on the infrastructure as well. So it's the time and actually the infrastructure cost as well. So.
And the response. So that was the response to business. This was the first project they ever used this technology with. And the thing they realised was, yes, we can go on site, we can start working, but this is changing how quickly we can respond to business. So next time we win a job, we don't have to say to them, well, we'll start in 2 months because we've got to get all of the infrastructure. They can say, we can start Monday. And that was business transformation for them.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the high-end side of it, but even from a applications or a standard desktop environment, if you look at Windows operating system now, as Sarah mentioned earlier, Windows 10 is very graphics heavy. Look at it compared to one generation ago, or even two, they look completely different. Yeah, exactly. But what that drives is a need for graphics power to have that same environment, that same ability to work as you would if the operating system was actually on your PC you're working with. So if you're working in a virtualized environment, you want that same sort of work life, and you can't get that unless you have GPUs and obviously the grid software to drive the graphical power behind it.
And it's fair to say that people are still utilising their original platform, virtualization platform, and this is just enhancing that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Fundamentally, VDI, virtual desktops, hasn't changed. What's changed is certainly the graphics requirements. I think, Rob, as you mentioned, Windows 7 to Windows 10, the increase in graphics is something like 30%. There's a publicly available white paper that has measured this. So many organisations are carrying on with that existing infrastructure and then suddenly thinking, well, why is my performance having an impact? Why is Windows 10 running worse than Windows 7?
Which of course is going to have a massive effect on uptake, which, when IT sits there and goes, well, what's the uptake of our new technology? It's all about.
Yeah, it's true, and that from a channel perspective, that's why getting this message across is key, because you want to inform your customer of these problems before they come across them. Because if you do, you can help them with them, and you've added that value. If you wait for them to come to you and say, you've solved me this solution and it's not working properly, and then you find out, and then they find out they've got, maybe buy some software on top of this to help it run properly, and maybe add some more GPUs into their solution, it's a different conversation. And that's all about still being a technology leader, informing people about this, because people do not know.
It's been very informative, and I've actually just quite enjoyed having a chat, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming in to see us in Milton Keynes, and thank you for watching and joining us. As I've already mentioned, if you've got any questions, please forward them on either to your Ingram account manager or your OEM specialist, and then any questions they have can be passed on to either myself, Richard Tricklebank, or onto my team, and we'll make sure we're in touch with you as soon as we can be. Thank you very much.